Well, hello there, ladies and gents. I'm Tammy Sipniewski, your crypto queen. Thank you so much for popping by the channel. You guys, I can't even believe this. This is absolutely wonderful. You know, there are so many people that have been dying to ask Sam Bankman-Fried questions. You got BitBoy Crypto skulking around the Bahamas like he's Pink Panther, trying to stalk him out, get some answers out of him. You have everybody just going after this guy. Numerous people are in the Bahamas, camped out there, just waiting to get some answers out of him. Along comes Tiffany Fong. The girl just slides up in his DMs and is like, hey, how would you like to do an interview with me? He agrees. She lands the video. Oh, she shows all of these guys up. Tiffany, thank you very much, girl. I mean, this is absolutely historic. And we are going to be listening to the Sam Bankman-Fried interview together. So we thank Tiffany Fong very much. And Tiffany Fong, of course, rocketed to crypto fame when she made public some very private leaked audio from some higher ups meetings within Celsius after they had claimed bankruptcy. So she's known into getting some information and making it public to help people in the cryptocurrency space. So everyone likes her. They respect her. She's always very ladylike, but she does, she does admit that when she did this video, she wasn't sure it was about to happen and she had a few cocktails. So the girl may be a little tipsy when the interview's going, but let's get to it. And by the way, it's completely audio. There's no video at all. And that's the way we're going to have to listen to it. But I'm very psyched to listen to it. And just to let you know, I am going to be taking notes. I might stop the video periodically because, I want to fact check things. I want to call bullshit when I hear bullshit. And, of course, nothing about Tiffany's interview style, just that. And, full disclosure, I haven't listened to it yet. So this is a true reactionary video and I can't wait for it. So let's get to it. Please let me know in the comments section if and Maddie B, who is our awesome moderator, is in the house. And I just want to shout out a word of thanks to Maddie B. And thank you to everyone that is coming into, it's been a while since, yes, thank you very much, Eddie. Please like and subscribe to the channel because I know it's been a while since I've been live. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's dig into it. In the comment section, please let me know if the audio is okay, if it's too low, or if it's, sometimes there's that weird echo. So please let me know. Let's get started. The Tiffany Fong SBF interview.
I don't think that's the worst things that are true. Like, you don't get in this situation that we got in if you if you make all the right decisions. Like, if if I did more careful, I billion things I could.
There was something about a backdoor that allowed you to execute commands that could alter the company's financial records without alerting others that this was put in place. I think that was a Reuters article, which made it seem like...
And I'm going to stop the video right there. Not only was this backdoor supposedly implemented so that he could move funds around without being noticed. That's how he was sending basically cooking the books. That's how we call it here in New Jersey. The guy cooked the books. But apparently that's how it was hacked as well, taking out as much as $600 million.
You secretly were moving money in the background?
Wait, and this is something that I would be doing?
It kind of said that
he's
SBF
feigning stupid
put
to this,
like a secret backdoor so that he was moving funds to Alameda and it was undetected. Like, this was something that you put into place potentially. I mean, that's how it read.
Well, I think for things, so that I can tell you true. I don't even know how to code. Is the honest, embarrassing answer. I certainly wasn't building some backdoor in the system. I could barely use it. I'm not sure. I use this system from a user interface perspective. But
can you guys hear the audio okay?
For any of us, yeah. So I certainly build a backdoor in there, and I don't know exactly what they're referring to. It's let me try and give you the nearest neighbor. So thing that is true that most resembles that statement. which is that there was a fuck up, which is a
Hey, I'm Joey, and I'm one of the 30
Of
AI
course,
voices from
because it's on
Speechlo.
YouTube, we're going to
You
have to
listened
hit
to
up
this
some.
video until now, and you
Sorry, Tiff,
probably
I'm going to
couldn't
have to
tell I'm
skip
not
through
a
your
real
ads,
human
girl.
voice.
I normally would watch them
That's
for
because
you.
long and almost boring story, but basically, there was.
He stutters quite a bit, right? I noticed that in another interview that he had done on the Bankless show. He was debating another guy, and he does stutter a lot, and he has word salad. So sometimes it's hard to really stay on top of some of the answers that he's giving. But I did hear him clearly say, "I fucked up," which his lawyer probably won't be happy with that.
I don't know if it was that's referring to, but like I was wrong. I was incorrect on Alameda's balances on SBF by a fairly large number, an embarrassingly large one.
You think?
And it was because of a like very poorly labeled accounting thing, which was a historical artifact of a time before when from before SBF had bank accounts. And the result of that was basically there was a time way back yonder when people would wire money to Alameda and then have to be credited on SBF. That just basically never got screwed up. And that was like a pretty big myth, and meant that Alameda was substantially more leveraged than I thought it was. I don't know. That's what that comment's talking about. The closest thing I can.
Okay, so the question that she asked was about the back door that was coded in. Now, I don't think Sam Bankman-Fried coded this platform. Clearly, he hired professional coders, but he probably told them to implement the backdoor. I don't know for sure. That's probably what I'm thinking. He knows what that backdoor is. What he's trying to do is, be like, what? Who said what backdoor? I don't know nothing about a backdoor. You talking about me? I don't know nothing. He's trying to make excuses for how this happened. He's talking about mislabeled accounts, and maybe that's how billions of dollars went missing because there was a mislabeled account on a spreadsheet. Come on.
It's possible that it went through a number of games of telephone before ending up like that. I don't know.
Then I guess just like the whole FTT thing, just using it as collateral and it being potentially pretty illiquid.
A lot of people use FTT as collateral on FTX. I think it had real value. That being said,
let's be clear. He just said FTT has real value on FTX. No.
One of which was, again, this is bigger than I thought it. That wasn't good. Second of all, was that, and this is fucking embarrassing. Wrong. Like, given my background,
this is fucking embarrassing. He
said, "Been the one to get this wrong." I think FTT was basically more legit than most things in some ways. Like, I think its value is more economically underpinned than the average, than the average token was. That being said,
why do you feel that?
I shouldn't have stopped it there because he just said FTT was more valuable than other tokens. What? Why? Because you said? I mean, it's crazy.
Like the buying range, it's not like a token that like does nothing. Like a guy, at least it does something, and like there is some like effectively cash flow that goes, and like there is a utility for it, and like I don't know, you can judge on how much you think that's worth.
Yeah,
but like you compare that to like token number 17 on CoinMarketCap. I don't know what token number 17 is, but it's actually just a lot less than FTT did. That being said, so I kind of feel like
I've been getting paid $1,000 a month, if not
Girl,
more,
she got some.
just from this app on my
She got
phone.
some.
And I don't know if you can see this, but it's called Audible.
A lot of ads here, and she should
real
because it's
I
good.
mean, create hundreds of millions of dollars a day at real market cap, and well, it was like I don't know. Alameda held a lot of it. It didn't hold all of it. Like half of it was just totally free floating.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I don't know. Like you could reasonably, quibble over a factor of 2 on its like real liquidity. not like a factor of like 30 or something. Like, we're talking a matter of like, I don't know, it should have been X or like 1.23 times X or something.
Let's keep in mind they're billions of dollars in the hole. He's like seriously trying to make it sound like what say you FTT has some real value. Who are you to say that it's worthless and it's worth everything else. It's okay here, everything's fine. No. Where did it go? No, people didn't deposit FTT onto FTX. They deposited Bitcoin, Ethereum. They bought other stuff. Where'd that go?
The bigger problem and the things that I like what happened there?
One thing I will say though, she's doing a good job.
This
Oh
was put in
shit! I accidentally hit this. Hold on, where were we? She's doing a really good job with, asking him questions, getting him talking. This interview probably more than likely is going to end up in a court of law at some point when his ass is arrested. Shit, I hope I hit this right. I accidentally hit the
token number 17 on CoinMarketCap. I don't know what token number 17 is. Like it's a lot less than FTT. But that being said, so I kind of feel like it did have real value. I mean, it trade hundreds of millions of dollars a day at, real market cap. And while it was like, I don't know, Alameda held a lot of it, it didn't hold all of it. Like half of it was just totally free floating.
Mhm.
And so like, I don't know, like you could reasonably, quibble over a factor of 2 on its like real liquidity. Not like a factor of like 30 or something. Like, we're talking a matter of like, I don't know, it should have been X or like 1.23 times X or something. The bigger problem and the things that I like happened there was not quite that FTC illiquid. Like, if you look at what happened between, a month ago, FTC's market cap was $8 billion.
Mhm.
Today, FTC's market cap is $500 million.
Mhm. Yeah.
What happened between then and now is not
your
that a
bankruptcy.
surprisingly small amount of sales of FTT totally crashed, right? Like, illiquidity wasn't what caused the crash. What caused the crash was something else, which is very embarrassing that I underestimated, which is the massive correlation of things during extreme market moves, especially when they're triggered by fear over the position itself and the massive size those moves can be. And we've seen that again and again and again in finance, where, I mean, long-term capital, similar thing, where like, you have a bunch of positions which are
Okay, he's basically making excuses for why the token has lost value. If indeed you're not a liquid and your token holds value, why then did you claim bankruptcy?
correlated by virtue of all being held by the same entity. And in this specific scenario, where you have a crisis of confidence in that entity combined with a run on the bank and a total lack of liquidity and credit, where the crash can be extremely correlated between all those assets, extremely large, extremely.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw. Like, we saw over a 2-day period, FTC lose 90% of its market cap. We saw Solana lose half its market cap. And like, wow, that was a real thing. And it, like, to be clear, Alameda was going on our FTC during this period. Like, it wasn't like the impact of a margin call. This was fear. Like, this was.
One of the main reasons why FTT token began to lose market cap was because we all know CZ Binance put out a tweet saying that Binance held a certain amount of FTT token that they were going to then dump onto the market because he saw something he didn't like. He basically fudded FTX. I am not covering for SBF, but CZ and him have been huge competitors for a long time. They've been at each other's throats. It's been a huge civil war between FTX and Binance. So when somebody that has $200 million worth of FTT token says, guess what? I am going to start to sell off my FTT token. Everybody else is going to start to sell it because of the price is going to go down. So if you know the price of FTT token, if it was up at $30, it's probably going to wind up at $20 after this guy, or even less once this guy is done dumping. So it caused everybody else to start dumping their token as well. So yes, that's what started it, but that wouldn't cause you to go bankrupt. What caused you to go bankrupt is that you were using people's Bitcoin and Ether and all of the other stuff that was on FTX. You took it off through that back door into Alameda and replaced it with FTT token. That's what he swapped it. He cooked the books, basically, is what we say here in Jersey. Oh, we cooked the books.
Was the reaction coming out specifically surrounding FTX and Alameda and their solvency, and combined with the run on bank on FTX, which basically meant that we saw moves that were
Foxy's in the house. What's up, girl?
5 times as big as the biggest ever 2-day move for either of those assets in history. Which is on the one hand, we could say, and then on literally the exact same day, that they completely collapsed in value. The total run on the bank on FTX, where we saw $4 billion per day of customer withdrawals, which is 30 times what we see on a normal day. So on the one hand, you can say, well, that was a 12 sigma event. How could we have predicted it? But that's what everyone always says. And of course, the answer is it wasn't a 12 sigma event because everything's correlated in those. When you're and their tails are fatter than they appear. And when the answer for how likely would that be, because that's what we would take it to create this crisis. If you really wanted to bring down FTX's liquidity, you needed to take 60% out of the market cap of a variety of moderately liquid tokens within a 2-day period and have more than 50% of all assets on FTX have to be withdrawn.
Yeah.
That was the triggering condition. And that was so many standard deviations outside of what you would normally expect, except of course, that gets correlated. And that, specifically when there's a crisis of confidence in the thing itself, you just see once you've got a couple 2 sigma events, everything else with high probability. And so it's
But wait a minute, okay? Because if any of this is true, a lot of what he's saying is making sense. But let's bear in mind that he did have that backdoor. FTX wound up being hacked for almost $500 million. We do know now that they utilized that backdoor to funnel tokens out of FTX into Alameda. Does any of what he says matter at this point? Maybe if he hadn't committed fraud, what he is saying would bring value to his customers. If he had got on a Twitter space or on their YouTube channel and said what he's saying right now before they claim bankruptcy, maybe he could have calmed everything down. But I think that he knew, or he had a suspicion that CZ may have found him out. And he thought, damn, the jig is up. This guy has found me out. That's why he's getting ready to dump all these FTT tokens. Let me just go ahead, cover my ass, and file for bankruptcy. Because that was a total cover your ass situation. He was not thinking on behalf of the holder at all. So what he's saying here is just decoration.
The scenarios, so to speak, that I was thinking about were not nearly well. I was thinking about Luna type scenarios, which were bad, but weren't this because they weren't specifically the things that would bring down FTX.
I mean, do you feel it was problematic that it was such a large part of the balance sheet?
Yeah. Oh, so first of all, yeah. Well, sorry, or let me take that back. I think it was problematic that it was such a large margin position.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a lot of tokens sitting there doing nothing, there's something wrong with that. But if you're using them as collateral, right?
Okay, now he's saying that he was taking out these large margin positions. What has been the thing that has wrecked all of the people during this horrible bear market? It's been these exchanges. It's been these platforms that have taken out huge loans, that have over leveraged themselves. That's what has wrecked everybody. Like Richard Hart says, it's the 3 L's that are going to kill you: ladies, liquor, and leverage. If he is so smart, right? Because he's not a coder. Even though he's a nerdy, kind of geeky looking guy, he's not a coder. He's a finance guy. He's supposed to know about finances. He should have known that he was completely over leveraged. And in this market, it would have been cataclysmic and catastrophic to be that leveraged. But he was that leveraged because he had no other choice, right? Because he had taken out the Bitcoin and all the other tokens of value from FTX to funnel them on over into Alameda.
Then then you've got to worry about concentration risk on the asset side. And so I think that was problematic. I also think, again, I should have been way more worried about extreme downside. But also on top of both of those,
Hold on, I got to say something. Maddie, Clear Crypto's 100% not a fraud, because it's had a good launch and their platform is really good. So please go check out the Clear Crypto's website. If you have heard FUD about it or whatever, don't listen to what other people say. You should always do your own research and critical thinking and just check it out. I know the other guy had said that 90% of ERC20 tokens are not good, but always do your own research. Okay, that's all I want to say.
And was incorrect about the size of the position by a shockingly large number until Sunday night when I reposted. Because of historical accounting work, I was off by many billions on how big this is.
Okay, we come to another commercial again.
I paid no electric bills last year.
You know, maybe
fact,
all of what he's saying he could get away with if they weren't billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars shy, but we'll continue on.
So FTX International was separate from FTX US, and you had stated that FTX US was
Maddie.
solvent.
I'm sorry.
So I was wondering why
FTX
US had to go to Chapter 11 as well.
What's the problem?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
You bring the fucking idiot you're talking to the island. I was sort of forced to doing it. But
wait, I missed that. Did he just call somebody an effing idiot? Hold on, I gotta rewind this a little bit.
Imagine for not doing it.
I gotta get back to her question. Hold on.
So FTX International was separate from FTX US, and you had stated that FTX US was solvent. So I was wondering why FTX US had to go to Chapter 11 as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, you bring the fucking idiot you're talking to the island. I was sort of forced to doing it, but I should have just said.
He called himself an effing idiot. Okay. Well, I think we can all agree with that.
No, that's right. I probably would have been reported to everyone you can imagine for not doing it, but it wouldn't work. You not.
It's hard to follow.
And I would give anything to unfile that right now.
You don't feel that FTX US should have filed for bankruptcy? And well, so if they are completely separate and FTX US was solvent, then would that mean that FTX customers would expect a decent recovery? Just because I feel like all the numbers that have been floating around. Sorry?
FTX or FTX US?
US. Just because the only numbers I've seen floating around, like the Financial Times, the recovery looks pretty slim for.
That's very international.
Yeah.
US is 100%.
So then FTX US customers could potentially expect decent recoveries then after all this?
If the US team hadn't turned off the Amazon account, they could already be withdrawn. You know what the honest answer is?
Okay, according to him, what he is saying in this interview is that he prematurely has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protections. He's saying that he's an idiot. He shouldn't have done it. He did it too quick, and that he perhaps was not reading the balance sheet right. How does that make any sense? But he's saying that if he hadn't done this Chapter 11, people would have been able to withdraw their funds. We don't. This is just what he's saying, right? Like we have no way to confirm what he's saying. We know that he has committed fraud. We know that because of that back door was very telling. But we have no way to confirm this. I mean, I guess when the filings come out, we'll be able to definitely see exactly what their proof of reserves are as compared to what their liabilities were.
That seemed like a thing solvent. Even after losing like $250 million to a hack on the way to bankruptcy, it's still solved. About 500 million over.
Withdrawals were opened first to citizens of Antigua or Bahamas. Yes. Yes. And then the regulators or securities said that that was not approved.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry.
Was right. So I gave them a heads up, a 1 day heads up that we were going to do it. They didn't say yes or no. They didn't respond, and then we did it. The reason I did it was it was critical to the exchange of being able to have a future, because it's where I am right now, and you do not want to be in the country with a lot of angry people in it, and you do not want your country to be incorporated in a country with a lot of angry people in it. And so it was, realistically speaking, cheap. Like, yeah, halfway hard for checks involved Bahamians, not being.
Because I guess it could.
He basically just said, listen, I feel like I had to let the Bahamians take out from FTX or else they would have hunted me down and lynched my ass. Right? That's what he basically just
been looked at as like
He's
insider
scared.
withdrawal sort of thing.
Oh, what is? No, this was trying to create a regulatory way forward for the exchange.
Just to like kind of appease the citizens of the country that you're currently in, basically.
And that the company was about to be sanded for additional liquidity.
What did he say?
They donated to both parties. They donated about the same amount to both parties. Yeah. That was not generally known because despite Citizens United being literally the highest profile Supreme Court case of the decade and the thing everyone talks about when it's about campaign finance, for some reason, in practice, no one can possibly fathom the idea that someone in practice did. So, I don't know. All my Republican donations were dark.
Okay, so he's talking about, of course, the campaign donations that he made to people in the Democrat Party. Everybody talks about how he donated so much money to the Democrats. What he's saying is he made his donations very public. You know, this way you garner favor from the politicians. You buy favors from them with these political donations. This is why I think that we should just do away with political donations, period. If you want to run for office, it should be publicly funded. Everybody gets 50 grand and that's it. That's all you got. You got to get up there and talk to people. But he's saying there was a Supreme Court case called Citizens United, and people could give to these PACs, and then the PACs would be able to donate to their public figures or make commercials of their own. And he's saying, and that's known as dark money because it cannot be traced back to any person or entity. He's saying that's how he donated to Republicans as well. But in fact, he's saying, I donated to both Democrats and Republicans, which makes it so much better, right? Because now we know he's bought off everyone, not just Democrats. He's bought off everyone. Oh, and I think he's got like a brother or something that actually works in Washington, D.C., in the Capitol. So he's embedded.
And the reason was not for regulatory reason. It's just supporters freak the fuck out if you donate to a Republican girl super liberal and didn't want to have that fight. So I made all the Republican ones hard. But whatever. And their third biggest Republican donor this year as well.
What a puss. He's like, you know, because I'm liberal, I'm not allowed to donate to Republicans, so I got to do it on the down low. What a puss.
Well, it's also the primary. They didn't give anything to general elections. They don't give a shit. Not what matters. Like, it's a primary where you put candidates against side candidates.
I was down to talk
Another
to my
commercial.
doctor
She's
about
doing a good
Rybelsus.
job.
Ask your healthcare provider about
Clearly,
Rybelsus today.
the interview has
This
been
$49
edited, right?
light
Let me
bulb
get
security
rid of this
camera
commercial.
is disrupting the video surveillance industry
His
in the
audio
US.
sucks. You would think
The Ukraine one?
you would think for somebody that stole potentially billions of dollars, he'd get a better microphone. Jeez, even I got a Shure SM7B.
I wish I could have. I wish. I didn't fully understand the goal. They're probably being launder funds for the Democratic Party. I don't know why Ukraine's laundering funds for the Democratic Party. I don't know why they would. I don't know which funds they're laundering. I couldn't even tell what direction it was in. I wish I was part of an international conspiracy that deep. I don't know exactly who, because they shut off all access to systems when they were exploring it. I've narrowed it down to like people. I don't know which one it was. But I have a pretty decent sense. I think it is, again, either it was an ex-employee or someone installed malware on an ex-employee's computer. And I don't know for sure which of those it is. And I don't know for sure which one it is, because access is totally shut down right now, because it would be dangerous to allow people to query data.
Okay, so that's his excuse for that.
The fuck out for that one. You know, the first thing they said after that was, "They said, Sam, you have only one thing to tell you. You have to promise that you never, ever, ever say you fucked up again." I told him to go.
And that's what he just did in this interview. So, don't forget, Sam Bankman-Fried's, both of his mother and father are attorneys. They're lawyers. I mean, you don't call your mom and dad and be like, "Hey, what do I got to do? I don't want to go to jail." Like, of course he did that. But he's paid off so many politicians, and he has paid off the media that, I mean, when you look and see all the different articles that are written about Sam Bankman-Fried, it is ridiculous how light they're going against this guy. You have rarely seen a headline that has said Sam Bankman-Fried is a disgusting guy that stole tons, if not billions, of depositor money, and he's a thief and he's hiding out in the behind. You don't see anything like that. It's like, oh, founder of FTX had a rough time and they had to claim bankruptcy. Like, that's not going hard. Let's be real here. Because his name is Sam Bankman-Fried, his parents are attorneys, he's got somebody working in Washington, he's paid off all the politicians. They're handling him with kid gloves. If that were you and I that had done this, if we had perpetrated a fraud where we had stolen millions of dollars, not billions, because the people like that in Washington, I guess, where we stole millions of dollars, we would be in jail so fast. We'd have bracelets on already and locked up for years. When it comes to people that are wealthy and connected and contribute to politicians, it seems like the long arm of the law all of a sudden gets real short for them.
I don't think they know what they're. I mean, whatever. They know what they're talking about in an extremely narrow domain of litigation. They don't understand the broader context of the world. Like, if you're a complete dick about everything, even if it narrowly avoids making moderately embarrassing statements, it's not helping anything.
I don't even know why you're talking to me. It's not like I'm some big reporter or something like that.
Oh my God, what a great question.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, I've started to trust my gut a little bit on things like this, and I don't necessarily.
I'm going to pause it here. It is crazy because don't forget how many people travel to the Bahamas so that they could confront Sam Bankman-Fried or ask him questions. Like, they're stalking out where his place is. They're doing everything that they can to land a video, an interview. Tiffany Fong lands it. It's amazing. So I can't wait to hear what he says.
They always have a fully fleshed out reason for why, but there's some intuition that generated it. And if I had to unpack it in this case, I think it would be some combination. If you were interested, you were like not sure what had happened, but you cared what had happened. And like, there's no point in talking to someone who doesn't care what actually happened, because I'm like, how are you going to like have any impact doing that? You're someone who like some people listen to, and like, and I think like you were like you're not just
I'm just waiting for him to say, well, it's because you're like totally hot. You know what they say about Jewish guys and Asian girls, right? Like they're notoriously, Jewish guys are always attracted to the Asian ladies. I don't know what it is. Like Zuckerberg, right? In college.
it's going to be like an obvious like chill for me or anything. Like me sort of like because of the Shinsky thing. Like I think I don't know. It sort of helps.
He's drooling over Tiffany Fong, basically. And we know it.
You're like, oh, here's someone who like.
But that's not the only reason why I'm sure he gave her the interview. It's because she's so well known about what she had done with Celsius. Really, she's awesome.
Will approach this from at least a somewhat neutral and interested vantage point. And, and who isn't, I guess the other thing, the other piece of it was in addition to that, there are a lot of people who are kind of approaching it, there are reporters who are approaching it from a sort of neutral vantage point. And I am talking to some of them. The problem is that at the end of the day, their metric is clicks. Like that's what they need to get. And it's fine. It is what it is. Like what it means is that like a boring story won't sell. And so you're going to be trying to ask me like the most provocative possible questions. And
oh, what is he saying? I don't want to give an interview to anybody else because I don't want to get gotcha questions or I don't want to.
It is what it is. Like it is a little bit of a perversion on what's going on. And like, I sort of had like, they don't mind them that much, but like, I felt like, all right, like we as a society have, in my humble opinion, spent about enough time this week trying to figure out whether anyone in living in Albany was polyamorous. And sort of like, I don't know, I feel like I've answered that question a lot. And the answer is too boring for people to like believe. They keep coming at it from different angles. And I was sort of like not in desperate need of like that approach.
Wait a second. So he's saying that he doesn't want to give interviews to people because he's afraid that they're going to ask him if he's polyamorous. I'm going to tell you something right now. Nobody cares that he's polyamorous, right? They're only caring that you made off with potentially billions of dollars of depositors' money. So he's already trying to, bait and switch. Well, what he really doesn't want to say is, well, I don't want to be called a fraud to my face. I don't want to do an interview where they're going to, this is why he's not doing an interview probably like on a StreamYards type of thing. Like they're doing it telephonically because this way, maybe if she had like documentation and she held it up to the camera, he'd be, well, I can't see it, because they're on a phone, but I mean, she's doing a really good job. And to me, she is being very journalistic about it. She's just answering pretty straightforward questions. She's not delving into this whole, salaciousness of the situation, like what he's doing there with, and who cares about that? I don't care who he bangs or who he's not banging.
It's interesting how much everything matters and how everything matters, including the things that, like the obvious things matter in an enormous amount. So do the non-obvious things too. There's like.
Oh, he's like 2 seconds away from talking about, I was going to say that he found Jesus, but he's Jewish. So scratch it. He's getting in touch with the Lord again.
A long saga. Okay. And then there's like a dumb fucking account we labeled confusingly 4 years ago. And that was like 2/3 of the whole saga. Mm-hmm. And by numbers. And like, then the saga ends. And I honest to God believe if I had filed for bankruptcy, all users would be whole and withdrawals would be on that case.
What in the world? He literally just said, and once again, it's kind of hard to listen to the audio. Look, I'm trying to really concentrate and listen to it because it's not wonderful. But he just said that had he not filed for Chapter 11, that the business would be whole and everybody would be able to withdraw their cryptocurrency. That's what he just said. What the hell?
And not just it's international as well. And
International as well.
I might still get there. We'll see. I don't know. It might happen. It might not. But I 8 fucking minutes after I filed for bankruptcy, $4 billion more.
Throw away your old pillow
I can't
right
believe
now,
that he
because what you're about to hear
said that.
in this video.
Of liquidity.
Are you able to add it to the estate?
I'm working on it, but the current trustees of the estate would rather burn it all to the ground scheme and find a way to.
Wait a minute. Listen, if you have $4 billion in your pocket and you're saying that the trustees would rather burn it all to the ground, why wouldn't they want to give their money back to the holders? And if you have proof that the trustees are going to try to pocket it and keep it for themselves, then you could put all of that information out here. Hey, guess what? Look what all of these other because he's claiming that after he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protections, that an additional couple of $1 billion just happened to flow into FTX. Where'd they come from? And that had he not done it, everything would have been. He basically shot his load too fast with the Chapter 11.
We're not to. So right now it's in a jurisdictional battle between countries over the bankruptcy estate. I started.
Would you put it in FTX International or US? Or? Yeah.
Not a bankruptcy turn on. International needs about $4 billion of net assets.
What's up, Dave?
And 8 billion. And there's a video, but they're not insured.
We're listening to SBF lie his ass off.
Whole numbers. And if,
Allegedly. I got to say allegedly.
If that was the only blocker, I would be there right now. And right now, the hardest piece of this is actually just like undoing other random bits of damage that have happened, to be able to get us to the point where we can address the fundamental underlying problem, which at this point, I've already 2/3.
What are you
I
talking
think the numbers that
about?
have come out are pretty accurate on what people can expect.
That's
like the
right.
FT or Financial Times balance sheet kind of looked like people could expect basically nothing on international.
Well, I mean, not nothing. I think, there's not.
He is living in a dream where FTT has value and that all of a sudden all of these Bitcoins and ethers are going to fall out of the sky and rain down on everybody. It's like, I don't know.
Hunting just liquid assets.
Maybe he's smoking something really good.
I think if nothing happens, if I can never do anything, get into their own prices, eventually US will get a penny around the dollar once they get around to admitting. And international will get, I don't know, 20, 25 cents on the dollar or something. I don't know exactly what, something like that.
Wait a second. I got to hit. What did he just say? What was that? How much can people expect back?
National,
well, I mean, not nothing. I think there's not counting just liquid assets that are there. I think if nothing happens, if I can never do anything, get into their own prices, eventually US will get a penny around the dollar once they get around to admitting. And international will get, I don't know, 20, 25 cents on the dollar or something. I don't know.
Did he just say pennies on the dollar for US and 25 cents for international?
Say what, something like that. But I don't know. That's because they got $4 billion sitting here waiting to be injected. If anyone will let us inject it.
Why wouldn't they let it?
Well, then, so are you kind of hopeful that FTX US or FTX International can just turn back on at some point? Because obviously Chapter 11 is restructuring, so you technically could restructure and reopen in the future. Is that your goal?
They sent me the AWS key beyond tomorrow, and withdrawals would start opening up over the next month. Right now, I'm putting over an AWS. We'll see what I can do. I mean, the embarrassing thing is I was the one.
You know what? When he's saying, let's see what I can do. When it comes to this guy, just maybe, because think of all of the politicians that he has paid off all of the media outlets that he has paid off. They essentially could pave the way for him to do that. Even though all of this has happened, even though we know that there has been a fraud perpetrated, according to the paperwork that has been released, there's definitely been fraudulent activity, which shows intent on his part, right? Maybe he can just magically fix it and turn it back all on. You or I would be in the clink. We'd have bracelets on right now. We'd be going to jail. He might be able to somehow salvage this.
It wasn't even I'm trying to like usurp someone else's company. I'm trying to usurp my own company and trying to justify myself story. So it's and the people buying myself in charge and pushing me are not happy about this.
So I've been trying to figure out the best way to relay information from my phone calls with Sam, but obviously a lot of nuance and tonality gets lost in Twitter threads. So I figured the most fair and accurate way to represent Sam's responses would be by letting people listen to the audio itself. Just to be clear, I am fully aware that Sam has full incentive to represent himself in as positive a light as possible, so I do take a lot of his answers with a grain of salt, especially without hard evidence. Also, I did provide more context in a previous video, but just to be clear, I am not an official journalist or a reporter. This was my first time interviewing literally anyone ever, and it was fucking Sam Bankman-Fried. So I apologize if I didn't ask the questions that you would have asked.
You did
I
great.
didn't have a lot of notice for this phone call, so I didn't really have questions lined up. This phone call took place at about 3 a.m. on November 16th, and we had a second phone call on November 20th. So I will post that shortly on my YouTube channel.
Okay, so let's listen to that second interview. But listen, she did a wonderful job with that interview. I think that when it comes to, having journalistic integrity, she wasn't trying to ambush him. She was looking for basic facts, which, by the way, is what is going to be important. Should this ever make its way into a court of law, this 100% could be entered in as evidence. So she did a great job with sitting back and allowing him to spill his guts. And who knows, maybe somewhere along the way, he made a mistake that very well might be the nail in his coffin, theoretically, so to speak. I don't call for violence in any way, shape, or form. I think violence is disgusting. I don't think that's ever the way to go. But so let's get to part 2 of the second interview with Sam Bankman-Fried and Tiffany Fong, who's doing a wonderful job.
If you've been diagnosed with cancer and live or work within 5 miles of the B. Braun plant in Allentown, call.
There are lots of questions about user funds and when you might have realized there was trouble. Is this just how user funds ended up being used at Alameda?
I think he might be muted.
And like, ultimately, it's my responsibility to make the right things and right things. Like, basically, two things happened. Like, what did it take for to run into serious liquidity issues? Like, it was a combination of because of well,
is he saying something?
The crash in the spring that.
Hold on, let me pause this because this is funny. He stammers and stutters a lot. I think when he gets frazzled, when he doesn't have a direct answer, when he's trying to concoct a story in his head, like somebody else had said earlier, and it just seems like, of course, this is the biggest question, right? This is the big one. This is where all of the trouble comes from, the big gaping hole in the balance sheet. And as you can see here, this was the question, Sam Bankman-Fried, on the use of the customer funds on Alameda, the $8 billion hole, which now, CZ and the remorse, which now he's saying it's not an $8 billion hole. He's saying that $4 billion funneled into FTX after he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protections. But I can't wait to hear what he says about CZ, because these guys they've had a battle going this whole entire time. And it's clear CZ is taking out enemies one by one by one. This dude is smart, he's deliberate, and he could bring everybody down.
A hyper-correlated scenario this month in which yeah. Substantially larger than it appeared to be.
How large was it?
I thought it was billions. It was in fact billions more, and you know, the combination of all of those put together meant that what appears to be a extremely well capitalized position on the exchange over the course of the last 6 months became effectively unable to meet liquidity obligations, and then those were demanded at the same time. And so, what was it? It was a messy combination of things. A lot of things I should have caught. A lot of things I should have been way more cautious about. And, I both should have been way more careful in terms of, viewing the risk of the economy, but also in terms of thinking about what a hypercorrelated scenario looks like. It's the oldest gaming book in finance. They should have been way more. I should have thought way more about what that risk looked like, and these sort of especially for correlated, less liquid assets, the extreme but plausible crash scenario was a lot larger than I had been thinking.
Are you kind of describing the lead up right before Chapter 11? Because I'm just curious as to when user funds ended up at Alameda. How and when did that happen?
Right. Well, there are a lot of margin positions. It's a derivative. And that's sort of the norm, that there are open levered futures margin positions. Alameda had a substantial. It was in fact more substantial than I realized that it was. And then there was a extremely large hypercorrelated crash that tanked the value of its collateral, and meant that it was effectively not possible to get nearly enough liquidity in a reasonable period of time for.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it there and just sort of reiterate what he's talking about. She's talking about how user funds wound up from FTX over into Alameda and how he basically lost them, right? And what he's saying is that, well, what's the big deal? This is a very common practice. This happens all the time. And, I was kind of just over leveraged into these positions, and this happens. No, this is not supposed to happen all the time. Not for exchanges. I can understand if you're utilizing a platform like Celsius, like Mango, like Compound, those other ones where you can earn yield on your cryptocurrency. That's to be expected, that they are going to rehypothecate your coins to make a yield for you. That's understandable. But when you're leaving your coins and tokens on an exchange, you don't expect that that's going to happen. That's not the deal with exchanges. Okay. Now he's saying everybody does it. That's what he just said. Everybody does it. I pray to God this guy's wrong.
Yeah. And so it was a risk net.
Or he's just covering his ass.
It was larger than in, in fact, much larger than I thought it was, which then suffered a massive hit, and they blew out. You didn't realize.
What's up, Arturo? That's right, stacking sacks. I bought $12 worth of sats today, everybody.
Exactly. It's been really sort of we're frankly trying to keep like.
This is hilarious, right? Like, it seems like his audio gets real shaky and shady during what should be some of the most pivotal moments of this whole entire interview. Do you think he's pulling one of these things? Well, the $8 billion, the $1 billion that I lost, like, it feels like he's doing one of those jobs, right? Or is it just me? For someone that is incredibly wealthy, you think that they would have a better setup or better internet connection for their phone or something.
How much was putting their life. Obviously, something I wish I had done.
Right? That's exactly what it sounds like. What's the combination to the safe? Did you get that? You should be able to open it.
Learn a language by
Another
watching
commercial.
TV. Choose from hundreds of TV shows.
I do feel guilty with skipping
Risa.
commercials.
Click
but
on words in the
gotta do it.
Well, so, I mean, you could be the only person that was like aware or in charge of all of this.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem was that there was no person, like there was no single person who was chiefly in charge of monitoring the risk of market position on SBF. Like there should have been.
Yeah, apparently the risk assessment manager was Caroline, his girlfriend.
And then unfortunately that
Or
there
ex.
was no one who was devoting enough thought to enough carefulness, enough attention, and enough.
Wait a minute. So you didn't have anyone, you have a risk assessment manager, but they weren't assessing the risk to mitigate a catastrophic downfall just like this? What's the point then of having them?
Ultimately as CEO, is my duty to build the company in such a way that great things happen. I really wish I could take a lot of things that I did in that sense, but unfortunately, it's it's a huge amount of responsibility as much as anything else. I use a failure to not have a specific person in charge of position risk management and account management from a risk perspective and liquidity and things like that. And then at the same time, I think we stretched ourselves too thin, and we're doing a lot of things as a company. And
I don't even want to hear that. Well, we should have had somebody posted there at the risk assessment management. And plus, we were just spread a little too thin. Apparently, all they were doing was hanging out, playing games and doing, I don't know what they were doing, but they were not paying attention. And when you're not paying attention and you're just gambling with money, of course, they weren't paying attention to the risks. Because it wasn't their money. If it was their money, they would have paid attention to it. But because it's your money, they didn't give a shit and they just threw it around like it was monopoly money. Of course, there's someone to blame. It's you. Stop passing the buck. You're the CEO. It's you.
I think we should have cut a few of them out and focused more on making sure that fundamental, most important things we were doing well at. And I think that one of those is, we were trying to get them as regulated licensed as possible. that meant, separately being licensed in dozens of jurisdictions. And that was an enormous effort. And, I think that like we could probably have, been less, been more selective on that front and sort of less of our time on it. I think that the same could be said of, a few other things that we did. And I think that like, ultimately, like, we were, we stretched ourselves too thin.
Shut the front door. No, you weren't.
There seems to be like an $8 billion hole. Is the $8 billion hole where there's just $8 billion of funds completely missing, or was that just based on some sort of poor investment decision?
So
I'm going to pause it here and just say right here, this is a critical question. So I'm really going to try to focus on what he's saying, but I have a funny feeling there's going to be a lot of stuttering and a lot of breaking up of audio.
It really is.
And I don't even know if $8 billion is correct. Is that correct?
Right. To my knowledge, as of when I last calculated this, there was a significant liquidity hole, which is say like, not enough ability to not enough dollars to fill with all, projected withdrawal requests. Because there are margin positions still open, substantial ones. And, there are funds collateralizing those. And so it's not.
Oh, hello?
Not a pure hole.
Oh, wait, sorry. You cut out for a second. The last thing I heard you say was there are funds collateralizing those, and then you cut out.
If you want to lead something, start by
Son of a
saying,
gun.
this is what I care
Okay.
about. This is what I want to do and why I think you
He
should
looks
care about it.
terrible, Bill
And you
Clinton.
Collateralizing, there's.
Okay, I'm just going to pause and say, notice that he's stuttering and giving us the definition of a hole. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Bankman-Fried, instead of answering the question, is giving you a just in case you didn't know, just a quick little rundown and lesson on what a hole is. Thank you.
Dollars are being and was not liquid enough to be really not liquid enough to be sold by legal counsel for as many dollars as we're going to be held on. And it's definitely like
Oh shit, my camera's out.
I don't
Oh, hi. Webcam. Cam link. There we go.
it was in theory.
Mm-hmm.
But well, that is in theory, not turn off and not.
Dude, it's
like,
been a minute. Oh my
basically-
God, I did it again. I hit the wrong thing. It's been a minute of him stammering and stuttering and not answering the question and cutting out.
There seems to be like an $8 billion hole. Is the $8 billion hole?
I blew it here. Let me find.
Do you think that if Susie hadn't expressed concerns about FTX, then everything?
I gotta rewind it again because I hit the.
I'm sure. And certainly not like.
Not that it matters because it's all
Right.
this.
A lot of these are worth half what they were 3 weeks ago. And so it's a little hard to project going forward what the right value is to use for them. As of post crash, post that show March, assets were about equal to liabilities in market value ways.
Do you think that if Susie hadn't expressed concerns about FTX, then everything would be fine right now?
I'm gonna pause this because I'd like to answer it for him, just to give you a little bit of what I think would be a reality check. CZ definitely will hit. We'll just say he hit fast forward on the DVD, but I think ultimately, if Sam indeed is telling the truth and he was completely over leveraged in some areas, then it ultimately it would have come down to this, right? Like it doesn't matter what he's saying, but yes, CZ definitely started. He hit the first domino.
I think it's really fun, open my what might be. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think it would certainly be a lot more. Well, there's a lot more ability to liquidity, and things would be, but there would still be, much larger. I don't know. I think 50-50.
Listen, I mean, it doesn't matter what the guy says, right? Let's just face facts here and say he knew there's an issue because nobody says to you, okay, hey, you know what? I'm going to have a garage sale and sell the stuff that's just hanging out in my garage. Get rid of it. It's worthless, whatever. I'm just going to get. And then the person that's throwing the garage sale is like, oh no, I'm selling stuff out of my garage. I better sell my whole house. I got to claim bankruptcy. That's not how the way it worked. He claimed bankruptcy because he knew that they were in trouble. You don't just claim bankruptcy for no reason. This was a major, major move that they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protections. That was a major move. You don't just do that shooting from the hip. There's a very deliberate reason why you do that. And he had to have been advised by a team of attorneys to do this. It wasn't just he made a decision to do it.
This is I live this, I wake up.
Man, I wish I knew what he was saying.
Hours per day coordinate, and other people don't see that. We feel like
Yeah. What do you mean? Well, do you mean just in terms of responsibility or?
Oh shit, there's another ad coming up. Sorry,
This
guys.
is the Ertopia Carbon e-bike. It's a really cool sort of technological electric bike
that is a
with
cool
a
looking
smart
bike. Look at
system,
that.
a really great phone app,
Shit,
kind
that's
of a
great.
fingerprint reader, and it's all carbon fiber, as the name suggests, including this
Dang.
stem integrated handlebar.
That's
And
cool
that's
as
great because it
hell.
only weighs
How much is that?
34.2 pounds. It's super smooth and quiet.
Look at that. Santa. That's super cool, that bike. Dang.
Yeah, I'm mostly focusing on what I can, where it can be helpful, and it'll be for amazing on t-shirt. Right now it's more one than the other, and to be as fun as.
I'm sorry. Is it just me, or have any of you been able to understand anything that he has said in the past 5 minutes? Is it just me? Is it maybe my earbuds? Am I not hearing it correctly? Or I just haven't been able to make heads or tails out of anything that this dude is saying.
That's all I can do. No.
Word salad.
No, it's yeah, it's a teacher. And my
girlfriend's
thinking is not
Hope you can't hear it.
matters. Well, like
I left the
I'm
door
much
open.
more worried about the downside. I can't think about what I might, whatever this means.
Is that like your media response, or is that really how you feel?
I didn't understand what the hell he said. Wait,
I-
I'm going to have to
I
rewind this because she clearly could understand what he was saying, and I couldn't understand it at all. I'll just do 15 seconds.
Or worried. The downside. I can't think about what I might, whatever this means.
Is that like your media response, or is that really how you feel?
No, I don't
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like, I made such a while ago. At least I, like, into do what I could for the world. And,
Maddie says he's on meth.
like, obviously, that's not turned out. Oh, I hope. And it's obviously true in terms of my life, but more importantly, like, it's just like, I don't know, true in terms of what my actual goals were. And, like, I feel really, really bad for, like, the people who used to be introducing me and then, we're trying to do great things for the world and tied it to me in some way. And then that got, undermined because I fucked up. And, like, that's, like, it's, if it were just myself, let it hurt, like, then whatever. Like, well, the problem is right now, any apology from me would ring hollow.
I guess.
And, like, it's no one, I'm not sure about that. Like, he's like, yeah, but no one now.
The only thing that I was able to make out is when he said any apology from me at this point would ring hollow. That's all and he's right. There's nothing he can really say. People just want their money. You know what I'm saying? He could just right now, if he's saying there's enough money there, why doesn't he just show the proof and be like, this is what we have. Why can't we make everybody whole and not allow the lawyers to screw people if indeed that's what he's saying? But I think it's a story. It's a lie anyway.
Really worse with me. I mean, even for the people who aren't, or at least what they think is pretty.
I mean, you could see he's saying something, but we just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
She hears him, but we can't.
His like Grace.
What a shame. This guy could be crying and, weeping, ugly crying, and we don't know because we can't hear. Although I seriously freaking down he is.
Try to within at least.
We have posted other portions of our phone calls, but I will always keep private the portions that were told to me in confidence off the record. So I will leave you with that, and I hope to talk to you very soon.
Okay, well, that was Miss Tiffany Fong. She did a very good job on asking Sam Bankman-Fried the tough questions. I only wish that we could hear some of the answers. You know what? The first video was better. But I think the second video, and when I say better, I just mean the audio part of it. Nothing to do with her interview style or technique. That was great and on point. And I can't believe that tomorrow Sam Bankman-Fried is still going to be appearing, of course, over camera, not in person, at the New York Times Deal Book. Why? So the New York Times, knowing that he is a disgraced FTX founder and thief, they're still going to have this guy talk on, not on stage, but appearing live alongside people like Janet Yellen, Mark Zuckerberg, the guy that's the CEO of BlackRock. What's his name? Larry Fink. Like, you have all of these, what are supposed to be titans of industry, and then that guy is going to be there? New York Times, what are you thinking? You 100% should be able to, well, you know what? I go back and forth on this, and let me tell you why, because I'm not really a fan of the whole cancel culture thing. But is this a time where we agree with the fact that maybe this guy shouldn't be given a platform? Because what I fear is not a lot of people are very familiar with how many people have been so direly injured by FTX. People are losing a lot of money, not just here in the States, but around the world. And it seems like the media, because they're not really leaning in and just being very direct with how big a fraud this exactly was, I'm worried this guy's going to be able to get on TV tomorrow, plead his case about why he's innocent and why, this was all just a misunderstanding, and can't we just be friends and get along again? And the media, being how corrupt that they are going to allow him that platform to do it. Maybe he's going to wind up getting away with it. I don't know, but I do believe in freedom of speech. Okay. I definitely cling to one of those core principles of our rights. And I don't really like the whole cancel culture thing. So I'm not cool with that, but I'm just worried that this guy is going to get in front of a microphone and sort of wiggle his way out of it. This is one of my biggest fears. Well, I'd like to personally thank Tiffany Fong for posting those interviews, taking the time to do it and to edit it and to make it public to us. That was absolutely amazing. And she's done a great job, not only with, what she has done here with making public the Sam Bankman-Fried interview, but also all of the information that she brought about with what happened with Celsius and Alex Mashinsky. So I definitely appreciate you. Well, that's going to do it here for me. I've been live for over an hour, and I'm about to pass out. I'm so tired, but I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me, listening to that. So in the comment section below, let me know what you think. Do we believe anything of what this guy said, or do we think that this guy is just and can't believe a word he's saying? I think we can all agree that he's just well, okay, well, that's going to do it here for me today. Please take care of yourselves, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow. You never know. All right, guys, take care. Oh, my final parting words to SBF. We're going to go to bed now, right? We're going to go to bed.